Shalom. Call Haloyim, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak Wadash, and Shanyukabad, Gadwala Rakwab, Zaquanyam Nawa, Wa Shalayakim Nawa. That's double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Shalom. Wa Barakim, Labakanyam, Shalayasharala. That's peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. As you can see, this title is going into the distractions that's happening here in Babylon the Great, and obviously the fall of the US dollar, just like this man's, I'll just say caption says. And that's exactly what's happening. And you have to understand the reason why we bring these things out is because the collapse of this US economy and the fall or the decline, we'll say, of the US dollar is going to be tied to a catastrophic event here in America. And that catastrophic event is what the Bible calls Jacob's trouble. And so it's very important not to get distracted by these little things that are happening and what they push out there on social media, because it takes your eye away from what's important. And what's important is prophecy. Now that you know prophecy is happening, the scriptures say to watch and pray always. We'll get that. And then, of course, knowing the time that we're in, you get your faith right with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You build up your spirit. You pray often. You fast as necessary, as you know you need to. And you make sure that your eye is single. You let the rest of the world get distracted while you stay focused on the kingdom of heaven. Right? That's why we push out these videos. And that's going to be the focus of this video specifically. I'm not going to really go into the dollar or the economy. I mean, we'll see. But I'm going to leave that part to these guys. This video and one more. I just want to speak specifically on these distractions and where our minds should be as the hopeful elect. But obviously, we will get into prophecy. And I'll start off first with this video and allow this dude to explain it, because he put it in a way that Jake can get it. And so I like it a lot.
Did y'all hear the news? They said Trump just got indicted. No bullshit. Yesterday, Donald Trump just got indicted, right? Look, this is how they get everybody looking one way so you do not focus on what's going on over here. Look, then the baseball season started yesterday, right? MLB had they opening pitch. Look, everybody and their mother has seen this video by now. And I ain't gonna lie, this is a great way to distract the people.
I bet you didn't notice the most important thing, though. I bet you I know where your eyes were. But peep what he's about to say.
Well, you see, even I had to like the post, nigga. But peep the 222, the 6 on her back.
I bet you didn't peep that at first, because I didn't. And I seen the video when it was first posted a few days ago or whatever. I didn't even peep that 222. It could have been any other number. But what does that equal? 6. Could have been any other number. But it's right there in our faces. Right there in plain sight.
They wanted, this was a planned distraction, y'all, like real shit. She could have wore
planned distraction, just like he said.
Or any number, but she wore a number that adds up to 6. And then in all my years of watching sports, I've never seen a cameraman stay on somebody's back this much. We know what you were doing, but people didn't peep this symbolism. Now, I say all of this to say because this is the direction they want you looking. They want you looking at Meg Thee Stallion ass sitting on a high stool, sitting beautifully, amazingly. They want you to look at Donald Trump getting indicted. But what's over here is literally the fall of the US dollar, nigga. Russia and Saudi Arabia are about to start using the Chinese yuan. All of these countries, Brazil, South Africa, all of them are pushing towards a gold-backed digital currency that is literally going to dethrone the US dollar. Like, this is in their plans. And yesterday they made some good progress on these plans, but everybody's looking at Donald Trump, at Meg's ass. Like, the US dollar is literally worthless now, y'all. If the US dollar is no longer being traded for oil, we're gonna see a collapse of the world economy because the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. That's why we're seeing a shift. US banks are up to $1.7 trillion in unrealized losses. This is money they just haven't lost yet because they're still holding the assets. But look, y'all, like we really seeing a fall of the US economy, but do you actually see it?
Yeah, do you actually see it like the scriptures say? Scriptures say the same exact thing. He that hath an ear, let him hear. Saying the same thing. Yeah, you reading it, you seeing it, but are you really understanding? Before we watch this other video, because that was straightforward, it ain't much to break down. We're going to grab Luke 21. I don't like going too long without getting the precept. Verses 34 through 36, it says, "And take heed to yourselves. Take heed, lest at any time your hearts," meaning your minds, "be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life," aka you're getting distracted. "And so that day come upon you unawares," because you weren't focused. Your eye wasn't single. You didn't have your mind on things above, the kingdom of heaven, prophecy. That's what we should be thinking about every single day. A day shouldn't go by without you considering prophecy, without you thinking about the kingdom of heaven. Like Apostle Gabar says all the time, we're supposed to be visionaries. You're supposed to constantly have that vision in your head of righteousness reigning here on earth, these prophecies hitting, Yahweh Shai returning, gathering his elect. Unless that day will come upon you unaware. Verse 35, "For as a snare," meaning a trap, "shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth." All of those who are distracted. "Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man." Now, if you're watching, it's so obvious. I mean, it's very clear where the economy is going, where the dollar is headed. But they don't want majority of the people to see that. And like Jake said, they want you looking left when really you should be looking right. And sometimes they put it right in your face, but people are too blinded. They're not worried about it. And of course, that's where you get the whole phrase, conspiracy theorists. And then they say, "Oh, you're just fear mongers. Why are you pushing negativity? You're pushing hate." Okay, so I became your enemy because I told you the truth. All right, well, I guess we'll see in the end who actually was right and who was wrong. All we have to do is keep pushing this word out, do our job, keep building up our spirits, and watching out for prophecy. That's it. And like the scriptures say, "Watch ye therefore, pray always." You do those things, you can't lose. You won't fall because you're putting on as the elect. Now let's jump back. I want to watch
So we are in
this video right here. Now this came out on Redacted. This is their TikTok, obviously. Now the caption says, "In 3 days, everything changes for the US dollar." Now he's going to get into what's going to happen. But basically just a background, just like Jake said, you have your BRICS nations, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. These nations have already banded together in an agreement to use a currency backed by gold, all for the effort of getting away from the US dollar, right? But now you have Saudi Arabia, you have CNN, you have Iran, and it was one more, or maybe even a few more nations that also applied to be a part of the BRICS nation. So what we're seeing is you have primarily oil producing countries that are applying to be a part of the BRICS nations. And these oil producing companies are trying to get away from the US dollar. That's the big news. That's what Jake was saying. And they're going to go a little bit more in depth to it. And that's what's going to truly sink this US dollar. Now, he says something that's very, very important. And I'm going to just fast forward because it's a pretty long video. I'm going to jump to around 7 minutes. And if I can get it perfectly, like 30 seconds. He says something very important about when this digital currency, kind of switching gears, is going to be released. Because they know, Esau knows that the dollar is losing its value, and so they're striving to bring in a digital currency. So he talks about when this is supposed to happen. Check this out. Here we go.
Is allowing foreign visitors to pay in U.S. dollars to enter their national parks. On Monday,
Okay, this is it. He said on Monday, meaning last week, right? So check this out. Listen to what he says.
the Federal Reserve, led by Jerome Powell, issued a press release declaring the launch of the new U.S. digital dollar.
The new U.S. digital dollar. Listen to what he says.
Which is coming in July fully.
Which is coming in July fully. The new U.S. digital dollar, which is coming in July fully. That's only a few months away. What does that tell you? Well, what that means for me is that something between now and then, something big, like a big event, could possibly happen here in the U.S. Potentially. Now, I'm saying that as a man, I don't know. But if it really is rolled out fully in July, something big could happen between now and then. Who knows? But this is what the Bible says concerning these times. Matthew 24, verse 21. It says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." That's why we talk about the collapse of this economy. That's why we talk about Jacob's trouble. That's why we preach faith, because the time that we're coming into is going to be the worst that we've ever seen. Yes, think about slavery. If you know the history, yes, think about 70 AD. Think about what happened during the time of the Greeks ruling when they sacked our temple. Think about all these things. The time that's coming is going to be worse. And it's linked directly with an economic collapse, the fall of this U.S. economy. That's why we're bringing all these things out. Let's finish out what he's going to say. So this U.S. digital currency should be rolling out this summer, he says.
But it rolls out next week.
Coming fully in the summer, but then rolling out next week, meaning this week, today. They're rolling it out this week.
3 days. So get ready. It's happening. Here's what they're planning and how they describe it from the Federal Reserve. The Fed Now service will provide individuals and businesses the ability to send and receive instant payments through the Federal Reserve FedLine network at any time of day, 7 days a week. Recipients of payments using FedLine or FedNow will have immediate full access to funds, which enable greater flexibility, they say, and opportunity for immediate use of money sent and received. In April, the Federal Reserve will begin certifying participants so that they can be fully set up when the launch occurs. So again, starting next week. Those institutions will be prepared to send live transactions through the system. And then in June, the Federal Reserve and those certified participants, again, which start next week, will engage in production validation activities to prepare for the launch. But next week, it officially starts, this rollout, the first week of April.
Man.
Now we have somebody in the chat who just said we're being.
Yeah, that's it right there. And so basically what he's saying is that you can almost look at it as a beta testing. So they have a prototype, they have the platform, and now they're saying, look, we want to fully launch this thing in, June or July, this summer. But first, we want to give a few months to of beta testing. Let's see how it goes. Let's get a few people rolled in. Let's have them use this digital currency, and then they're going to be fully set up to use it full launch this summer. So it's coming. This digital currency is coming. It's right around the corner, which means that Jacob's trouble, it can't be far. It can't be far. So what's our job? I'm going to throw that away now. I don't need it again. Our job is to do this. New Testament, because I never know where it is. Maybe it says redeeming. Ephesians 5, starting at verse 4. Wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Yahushua shall give thee light, meaning this knowledge. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Meaning the days ahead are going to be filled with bad times. So walk circumspectly, meaning watch all around. And what are we supposed to be watching for? Prophecy. You let the rest of the world get distracted. You let them look at Meg Thee Stallion's ass. You let them get all into Donald Trump being indicted, or whatever else is happening. Now, I'm not saying that nothing is wrong with watching MLB, nothing is wrong, or something is wrong with watching NBA, the playoffs, whatever. Whatever you want to get into, cool. What I am saying, though, is that majority of your time and majority of your focus should be on prophecy. That's all. Make sure it's there. Don't put it on the back burner. You should be thinking about it all the time. I'm not saying to be in the spirit 24/7 because that's impossible. But this is where your mind should be at. I mean, shoot, sometimes when I'm in the car, I won't even play music. I'll just be dwelling on prophecy, thinking about Jacob's trouble when it hits. Sometimes I'll just sit, close my eyes, lay on my bed. I'm just meditating sometimes. And what am I meditating on? Prophecy, the Lord returning, being delivered. Right? This is where our mind should be. Our eyes should be single. I want to grab this precept. Sirach 5 verse 7. It says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. You'll only be putting off day to day if you're distracted, if you don't see what's truly important. For suddenly, it says, shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. And there's only going to be more and more distractions as we move forward. As more prophecies come to pass, as more legislature passes, as more countries band together and try to get away from the dollar, watch how many more distractions there are. Whenever there's something big that happens and it's passed a lot on social media, check and see what happened politically, because something happened. All right, well, that's my signal right there anyway. Dog starting to bark, but that's it. That was the last precept I had. Just wanted to bring out those few and talk about what's happening behind the scenes as the rest of the world is getting distracted. And so I pray that this was edifying to the elect. Got to get my dog called a lawyer. Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakak Dash. Shalom.